All right. Yeah.
All right, so we're changing an alternator on a 2008 Saab 9.3 with the 2.8 liter, and it had a battery light on for, obviously it wasn't charging. Changed the battery out with a spare we had laying around, and that didn't fix the issue. So the next logical step is check fuses, relays, stuff like that. All that stuff was fine. So now we're down to changing out the alternator, which you can see is kind of a pain. But it's not terribly bad. Something you could do at home. Obviously, we have a rack, but it can be done on the ground fairly easily. A couple hand tools and a Saab's taking e-socket set, which you can get pretty cheap at Harbor Freight or wherever. You really don't need anything crazy. If you have an impact, it's helpful to get the axle out and the wheel off. But other than that, it's just regular hand tools. Did some reading on it and basically pull the axle. I did it a different way. I took the strut out, made more room instead of doing the lower ball joint, because a lot of times you start taking ball joints off, they're bad, or they don't go back together right. So just skip that whole process. Took the strut out. Nice big assembly. It's 5 bolts, no problem. We had a little problem getting the alternator past this bolt here. Holds the alternator mount. I would suggest, it's not mentioned anywhere, but take this bolt out. It gives you the extra clearance. When we go to put the alternator back in, you'll see why. It's just the E12.
E12. The strut mounts were 13s.
Yeah, strut mounts are 13s. Then the lower strut bolts,
Knuckle.
that goes through your knuckle, are
Spindel.
Are 18s. And then your end link, depending on if it's OE or aftermarket, is 17, 18, or 19. And in the, you can see here, it's got the flat spot to put a wrench. These are either 15 or a 17, depending, like I said, if you have an OE one or an aftermarket AutoZone or whatever. So here we've got our new alternator here ready to go back in.
And the nut on the back's a 13 millimeter.
Yep, take our 13 off, get it ready for the wire. There we go. Set that off to the side. Alright, you're going to see this is a pretty tight fit, and it takes some finagling definitely to get it out of there. Now you see right where that bolt used to be was right here. So that gives you a little bit of extra space to sneak this alternator past without moving the engine or the cradle or anything crazy like that.
There it is.
See, now we're past it.
Just by taking that one bolt out.
So now we flip it around, get it facing towards the back here.
Put that one bolt in.
And so we can get our power wire back on. That's A number one, is putting the power wire on, because you really can't reach it. Might be able to get it from the bottom, but we found this is easier just to have it twisted backwards and then just put it on that way. So I'm gonna scoot around and get that thing going and get my lock nut, my lock washer, and my nut. There we go.
What phone is this?
Note 9?
The Galaxy Note 9?
Yeah.
It has an awesome 2x zoom button too. You just hit it and it goes dook dook, and I'm like, oh, this is nice. Yeah. It just zooms in 2 times.
All right. Well, I got swappy spots because I got to get my head over here on this side. See what I'm doing.
I'm like, oh, now I need a new phone. This thing is choice.
All right. Get our wire on. My big doofy fingers here. There's water lines right behind here, so it's kind of an awkward spot. But it'd be way more of a pain to move the cradle and do all that other crazy stuff.
Yeah, we didn't have to drop the cradle or anything.
Definitely better if you had smaller fingers, but I got big fingers, so it's a little harder for me.
Yeah, my Buick Rendezvous alternator video has like 5,000 views on it. And I'm like, really?
Yeah.
5,000 people watched a alternator video? No Buick Rendezvous is worth an alternator.
All right, so we got it started now. All right.
Yeah, a little while later, they called me and said their transmission was failing.
All right, so we got it started. Now we get a 13 out. A little setup going on. There we go.
Or that one.
Yeah, it's already most of the way on, so we'll just use a regular little ratchet to get it going here. If I can get it back in its spot where I had it. All right. Let me see if I can. Might be able to reach it from the back. Let's find out. There we go. It's kind of in a spot, so you can only get a little bit on it, but.
Yeah, and be sure to disconnect your negative battery cable.
Yeah. That's step number 1.
The Haynes manual doesn't lie.
Yeah. Definitely don't want to arc a power wire onto some part of the engine frame.
This isn't a Ford.
You can't knock the Fords. We got new GT350R. The Supers make it pretty cool.
Yeah, some guy had issues with his and kept taking it to the dealer, and he's like, the last time I took it to the dealer, they said take it to Roush or Shelby.
Straight to Shelby in Vegas.
Take it to Shelby. We're not going to work on it anymore.
Yeah. All right, so that's tight.
113 millimeter down.
Yep. All right, so next we'll be putting our mount bolt back in.
This is actually a pretty little legit kit from Gear Wrench. It has all the E's and Torics. And there's the E12, I believe.
Yeah, it's E12. Everything on this are E12s for the alternator. The two bolts that hold it and this mount bolt are all E12s. So we're not using anything fancy right now, just a regular socket and a ratchet. We're in absolutely no hurry. But we did see a lot of people say that this takes 3 hours, and honestly, I couldn't figure out how it would take 3 hours.
Yeah, your phone does this automatic thing. It like tries to follow your hand when I zoom in. And the screen bounces up and down even though I hold the phone straight.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I mean, I don't know how, even out on the ground, this should not take 3 hours. I mean, we've only been working at it slow and messing around as we're doing it, and it's only been maybe half hour, 45 minutes. And we're already putting the new alternator back in.
It seemed like it came out in 15 minutes. What size is the tensioner?
The tensioner is a 1/2-inch ratchet, actually.
Is it?
Yeah. You can still see it. It's just hanging out right here. I left it stuck so we can put the belt right back on when we get to that point.
Oh, your phone tried to follow your hand when you whipped it away from the ratchet. That's crazy.
So let's shove this back on these mounts right here. Did have to use a little bit of a pry bar to get it out. They're usually pretty stiff against there. So try to walk her back in.
Yeah, totally doable on jack stands.
Yeah. Oh, it's got these crazy.
You probably don't even have to. You probably just have to jack this one corner up.
Yeah, you can do it just jacking the corner up. I think when they set these plugs on this alternator, they did it too stiff. Well, we can maybe knock that back a little bit.
Yeah, I've ran into that before too.
Yeah, you're gonna have to open those sliders up just a little bit. Yeah, it won't walk back over the mount, so we're gonna have to knock her a little bit, give her a little. Oh, I can't tell if that moved or not.
Yeah, spin the bolt in it and give it a couple love taps.
Yeah, let's see if she opens it up just a hair. Oh, it's trying to go on now, so we're better off.
Oh, yeah, there she is. A couple taps of the hammer.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe a little more.
No, I gotta get the top one in. It's just at a weird little spot here. You're trying to rock both of these in at the same time.
It's a neat design, though.
It's pretty close. Yeah, probably one or two more taps would have got her better, but...
Oh. Where's your bolt at?
Right there. Yeah.
Should bust out the magnetic parts trays.
Yeah.
They chill on the rack. I was actually going to glue them to the rack for lug nuts.
All right, there's our bottom one.
Sweet. Dollar bills, y'all.
All right, so the bottom one is
started.
Top one.
Top one.
Rotate it back into place. And there's our hole here. A little jiggle. Alright. Yeah, so that should be it.
Yeah, this is weird. The phone just keeps trying to follow your hand.
Stuck on the belt or something. I gotta get on that side. See what the hell's going on here. Oh, it's the brake line. I gotta be on the other side of the brake line.
Oh, the bolt's hitting it?
Yeah. So I gotta flip this around the brake line. There we go. All right, there we go.
Yeah, they make it so much easier on TV. When you get footage for stuff. I'm like, some stuff you just can't see when you're in there.
Yeah, oh yeah. Pretty much.
Oh, she's...
All right, let's get this. Make sure she's going in there. I'll give her a little wiggle. That feels like some threads. All right, now we're in.
Easy money.
Right, so both of those are started. Clip our electrical back in for the generator light. And
alternator pigtail, power wire, mounting bolts.
now I need our E12 back to tighten these two up.
It's doing that thing where it follows you. It's crazy, dude. It's making me dizzy. Wonder how I stop that. Stop it.
Don't have to go crazy on these, just a little bit. All right, alternator is in. throw the belt back on, and then we can start putting our axle back in and our suspension back on. So watch your belt routing. Make sure it's in all the grooves all the way around, because if you don't, you're going to destroy your belt. So our belt's back on now. Let's take a quick look. Good around the crank, good around the alternator. Good up there. AC.
What?
Yep, good around the AC, power steering.
Looks legit.
Yeah, she's all good. All right, belt back on.
Check.
All right, so now throw our axle back in real fast. And then before we test it out, we want to hook our wheel speed sensor back in so we don't have any issues with check engine lights or anything like that. If you've got a scan tool, you can delete it if you do it, or drive it for a couple minutes, it'll go off on its own. Alright, so we're going to throw this axle back in real fast.
You want to grease for the splines?
No, it's still got plenty on it.
Oh,
She's
okay.
good.
You might want to do that outside.
You just put it in there. Find out where it's kind of, where you can feel the teeth.
Line up your splines.
See the teeth are, and just give it a couple good pops to make sure it's seated.
And do the outer one.
Yeah, a little grease on this one. This one's a little crusty.
Lover's lube. That keeps, for those of you in the salt belt,
Yeah.
these love rusting in.
So we're just gonna throw a little on here and make it easier for the next guy. All right. Shove that back into our hub, and you lift the whole thing up. Shove the axle through. Axle's now through, so we're good to go. All right, now we gotta put the strut back in to hold up the spindle.
It's so crazy. It keeps jumping. I wonder if that's how it is on film.
We'll put our axle nut back on loose just so it doesn't come back out.
It's got to be some like live action mode that's turned on.
All right, so let's get our strut here. We need to lower the car a little bit and put our strut in the top. Put a couple bolts in loose in the top to.
All right, let's undo those locks. Going down.
That's good enough. Alright. Open our hood up. Alright, lift our strut back into place.
Sweet.
These spin 360, so you gotta kind of pay attention to where you're putting your bolts in at. But it usually only lines up in one particular direction. So we're just gonna lightly start these to hold it in place.
All right, those three.
Yep, now it's just hanging in there. Now we gotta do is lift this whole assembly up like that. Get our bolt here.
And they went in through the back.
Yep. A lot of times if you're doing this on the ground, you can get a little jack or something to hold the hub up, but it's not that bad. It's not really heavy or anything, so just slide both of these through. A lot of times you got to give it some jiggle front to back to get your other one in there like that. They should slide in all the way to the splines, no problem. Now we got our washers and nuts. Slide those on. Now you have to tighten these up before you put your lines back in because it blocks the lower bolt. So let's see here, where's my setup for this? Here we go.
There it is. It's all about those trays.
Yeah. I'm using a nice impact for this, but you don't have to. You can do it by hand. Real easy. All right. That part's done. Now we can go ahead and tighten up our axle. You know, these are supposed to be torqued. That's all you need. Just a little bit of love. Nothing crazy. Alright, now we can hook our ABS back up. Plug back in. It just slides in the little clips like that. Done.
Brake hose.
Brake hose back in.
Check.
It's got these little
retaining clip
here. Tang faces towards the inside of the car.
Love tappy.
Get it in there started. Get your little small hammer, nothing crazy. That's all you need for that.
You think your hair's bad? Watch Engineering Explained. The dude's like 28 years old and he's all salt and pepper. I don't know if he dyes it or what.
Well, you know, being a mechanic every day. If you don't like me dirty, I don't want you to like me clean, because every day of my life I'm dirty one way or another. All right. So
and this light is dope. Snap-on puck light.
So now we need our socket and our 15mm wrench. Right here. Now there's only 2 slots on the back of this. You kind of have to find out where it is. So best thing to do is just spin it real slow.
And those gear wrenches are kind of fat versus regular wrenches.
Yeah, and see, now I found the slot. That's all she needs, right there.
See, I'm surprised you could get that wrench out of there. They're
yeah,
so fat.
yeah.
They're so
it's
fat.
usually a straight slot, and then the rubber boot just stops it. There's no collar back behind it. It's just a rubber boot. So, all right, now our corners all the way put back together. We didn't have to mess with the brakes or anything crazy. We do have to tighten our 13s at the top for our strut up here. Pop the clip back in, get that 13 going.
You gotta find out what that mode is. It keeps following your hand. It's crazy. It's like the camera guy's got Tourette's.
Yeah. Now these go in really lightly because I have
They break.
broken them in the past.
And they're not fun.
So once you get it, so you get a couple little clicks out of it. Just, that's all you need. Just a hair. I'm sure you can find torque specs and do all that, but there's only 2 things on a car that need torque.
Oh, and your shirt.
Yeah.
How to pick up chicks.
Yeah. All right, so now we're ready to start it.
This is the free hugs t-shirt.
Yeah. Now we're ready to start it and see if our battery light went off. Because if it doesn't work now, that means there's a wiring problem, and it's a whole another can of worms. So.
Yeah, these 2.8s are pretty reliable.
And everything's buried in there, so we definitely don't want that problem. All right, let's reach in there, fire it up, and check for our lights.
And this goes her.
Yeah, ground back on.
Okay. We could drop her a touch. This thing is so cool. $2,500 installed.
Yeah. Can't go all the way up, but enough to do what you need to do.
9'2" ceiling. It gets up pretty high. Saab. What's that? Saab fob.
Yeah.
It's alive. This thing needs motor mounts bad. Airbag malfunction. All the headlights malfunction. come on, let's see if I can clear you out of there. Jesus Christ. Yep, there we go. Looks legit, Mike.
You gotta give it a minute because
all these lights. Oh, it popped up quick.
battery light came back on.
No, I mean when I test drove it, it didn't. As soon as I fired it up, it was like, doo doo.
Yeah, when I moved it last time, it took like a minute, then it came out.
Oh, did it?
Well, we dug out a voltmeter. We can always test it if the battery's full. It's fun. The light's good enough.
Oh yeah. This is a gush car, though. Leather, full power. Heated seats. You're gonna open that door up.
Yeah, crack it a little bit.
Monoxide.
Well, now if it was gonna have a problem, the light would have came back.
Oh yeah. Well, this is how to fix other people's problems, not how to fix ours. How to change the alternator. This is how you do that. It sounds like it's got a mist too.
These always sound like that.
Do they?
Yeah. It's just the way it is.
Wow. Good luck changing those back plugs, guys. You're gonna need it.
We'll do a separate video for that.
Yeah.
Just gotta watch out for matching line. You always buy another one of these. They're always great. Saab dealer, $150. Online, $25.
No way.
Yeah.
Yeah?
I made that mistake once.
eBay or?
No, just like Euro parts or
Euro parts?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's cheap. For some reason, the Saab dealer, $150.
Top tips. Do the V6 have that caliper brake fluid leak? The 4 liters, 4 cylinders do?
No.
No?
That's just off of the hose to caliper.
Yeah.
With the little brass washers leak. Well, I guess check it one more time, see if our battery light's still off. If it's off, we're good.
Probably gonna end up sending it. Yep.
Still off?
Yep.
Alright, looks we're good to go.
You popped up quick for me, so sob fob.
I would imagine the shop would charge at least $200 for that.
Oh, I'm sure.
You did it with everyday tools in about an hour.
Yeah, you could have did it with a jack stand on just the one corner.
Yeah, oh yeah, you didn't have to loosen the cradle or anything crazy like that.
Yeah, you could probably even get away with using the factory scissor jack, jacking it up, putting a cinder block underneath it, jacking it up some more, putting 2 cinder blocks underneath it, and just going to town under under there.
Like I said, just basic hand tools.
With hand tools, except for the European e-Torx.
Yeah.
Saabs and Volkswagens and Audi want to be different. But we didn't have to drop the cradle or do anything crazy.
No. So if you find one of these that needs an alternator, go buy it for cheap. Alternator is $150 to $200 or you get it. Hour and a half worth of labor. There you go. Nice cheap car. I've actually seen one of these for sale. It was by Detroit and really clean. Said alternator failure, $1,000 for the car. That thing was gone within hours.
I bet.
Because I actually thought about buying it, and I messaged the people, and by the time I messaged them, it was already gone. So, it goes to show you anything with the 2.8 liter turbo is These things are quick. They're fun to drive. You can get them cheap. They come with all kinds of options. Heated leather seats and.
It's comparable to the M3.
Yeah, yeah. Pretty much any weird option you could get back in the day, these things had its stock pretty much. Yeah, so you can find one of these for good money. I'd definitely use this for any kind of daily driver. They have their little quirks, but nothing too crazy to work on. We're going to put the wheel back on it. We'll take it for a hot lap. And then try to figure out how to hold that battery down and then give it back.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad.
No.
I thought it was going to be way worse.
Well, as soon as I saw it said like 3 hours and stuff, I don't know how anybody would take them 3 hours to do this.
Do you think they were sleeping under there?
I mean, I have seen it where the axle won't come out of the hub and it's a bitch to do that.
Yeah, I don't know if that's book time or if that's what the guys in the forums were saying.
I don't remember where it was. I think it was in the forum saying that. But I could see if, like, I have seen these where the axle won't come out of the hub, or the 17 millimeter bolts that hold the wheel on are a lot stuck on there a lot. I mean, there's little complications you can run into, but this one came apart, no problem.
Yeah, I ran into those where my half-inch impact couldn't take the lug bolts out.
Yeah, yeah.
I was like, Jesus Christ, guys.
And that's even them torquing them to 100 or 80 foot-pounds or whatever. You know, it's still, they just crushed in there and you can't get them out. Like I said, we're going to put the wheel back on it, we'll take it for a ride, and see if we can do some burnouts with it. That V6 power. Didn't even have to change into my work clothes.
Oh yeah, it wasn't bad at all.
Almost lost it there. I'm trying to move that out of the way. No. Definitely got to clean this mess up.
Yeah, she's in shambles. My poor car hole.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had enough tools to tackle this. So, I was like, "Do you have any e-torques?" I'm like, "Oh, I don't know." That's a good one.
Oh, 17 somewhere.
Oh, I thought we just had that bad boy out.
No,
It's 19.
I think I put it back in.
Maybe. Yep. There's the halfer.
I always start these by hand because there's pain. They're so countersunk in there.
Yeah, it's a little awkward. Oh my God.
Yeah, that's the way that one. I've had it fixed twice, and that's the way it sounds. No matter oil, whatever, don't make a difference. That's just the way it is. So I gave up on it.
Oh, it sounds sick.
Still got 1,000 foot-pounds though, so
Yeah,
it's more than enough.
Yeah. Too bad it didn't go.
Yeah. Well, that's what this and the Subaru are for. DeWalt makes one real similar to that.
Yeah, I was thinking about getting
You
them.
can get for half the price.
The XRs or whatever.
Yeah. This one's adjustable, so to put this wheel on, we don't want crazy torque, so we're going to put it down to 2.
The other 3/8 was at like 250 pound-feet or something.
Alright. Done.
Legit.
Yeah. That's what taking for a ride.
All right. Should I pause it and go for hot laps?
Yeah. You got